Hello everyone, it's Helen from Journaling Planet, and in day 5 of my 100-day project where I turn 100 pieces of junk into 100 plus pieces of treasure, I'm going to be making some spring ephemera from this beautiful tissue box. I mean, my work is pretty much almost done for me, isn't it? Well, we'll see about that. But I can see so much potential with this. I can see journaling cards, I can see tucks, I can probably see a couple of tags out of this. First, I'm just going to cut it up into pieces so I can see the cardboard that I'm working with. See, this is what part amazes me about the cardboard and the paper that comes just into our life naturally without us having to buy anything. This is enough material, I would say, for about 3 videos, not one. And if I took every single piece of cardboard in front of me to the optimum level, I would have a whole week's worth, maybe 2 weeks worth of crafting, depending on how much time a week I've got for it. So part of this channel is about reassessing the materials that we have in our life. And I think just seeing it all laid out like this gives us a real sense of how much we've got just coming into our life as standard. So it's coming into our life anyway. We may as well make something beautiful out of it because it's already actually beautiful as it is. You can find craft paper that's not as beautiful as this. So because there's so much, and because I want to give a sense of how I will use the different components, I'm going to select a few things. I'm just going to focus on those in this video. These I would just use as tucks, as they are. I would just put some glue along the bottom here. If I was feeling like I didn't want this rough edge showing, I might cover it with some brown paper or some book page, but this is done. I don't need to do anything else to this. This is a tuck. Don't reinvent the wheel if you don't need to. So I'm putting these bits to one side because those would already serve as 4 tucks. So now I'm left with these bits. Obviously, I'm going to work with this. It's too exciting not to. Anything pre-cut, a shape like that, pre-cut by a machine, is too exciting not to work with. I'll work with this to look at how we could cover over the text and still maintain the lovely floral motif that's happening here. I'm going to work with this, which is similar to these 3, to create a tag and look at how we can use parts of a box that's only kind of got part of the motif on it. And I think that's enough for this video because I think that you would already have your own ideas about how you could use this. I mean, they're the perfect background for journaling cards. It's a no-brainer really, isn't it? Look at them. So I'm going to be doing that off screen on my own after the video. But for the video, let's focus on these 3 pieces that are perhaps slightly trickier pieces to do on your own. I want to start with this one because I'm just too excited about it. This is where you get in life. So I want to create some spring ephemera. And originally when I was envisioning this, I thought, oh, I'll use book page. But actually, I found this piece of music paper. Look at how ripped it is, in a thrift store. And I rescued it because nobody else was going to, come along and claim it. And they charged me a nominal amount for taking it off their hands. I was happy to pay it because it goes to charity. I don't know, it was probably about 10 pence or something because they had to charge me something. They can't just let people take things out of the shop. And I decided I'm going to use music paper, not just because this is beautiful, it's got slightly different colouring to your average newspaper. I'm not sure if it's coming across on camera, but it's more of a brown kind of sepia. So I'm going to use this. And part of the reason I'm going to do that is because I decided, with it being spring, I'm going to use this bird stamp. It came in a Winter Woodland 26-piece stamp set that you may look and see is still unopened. So it's time to use this. It came with a magazine. We get them in the UK where they come with these big packs of stamps that would normally cost you an absolute bomb. The magazine is, I hesitate to use the word useless because somebody put effort into making it, but it's not the, shall we say, it's not the selling point. The selling point is the stamps. This is a perfectly acceptable stamp for spring. If you've got birds or woodland creatures or anything like that in your stamp set and it says a particular season on it, I mean, really, says who? You know, you can use it for any season. First thing I'm doing is gluing around the edge here. I did start to cut around and then I realised no, I needed it glued down first. These are the things you realise. And you can line up the edge very easily, and it's much easier to cut around when you've got it all glued down. So what I don't think I did explain earlier is, in my head, because birds sing, music paper is more appropriate than book page. That's the level of logic we're working with here. Okay, so let me get my ink stamp. So that is it, just raw stamped, but obviously I'm not going to leave it like that. I want to bring out the features of the stamp a little bit more. So I'm actually going to get some pencil crayons and just colour in some of the details so that it stands out a little bit more. Any pencil crayons that you have to hand will work fine. These are some that I let my nephew play with when he comes around. I do have my own, but these happen to be handy. So I'm just going to be lazy and just get to quickly colouring these in. That's standing out far better now. I'm really pleased with that. So obviously I'm wanting to use this as a journaling card, and I don't really feel that this paper at the back is going to be strong enough. If somebody writes on it, the pen will just go straight through. So the next step I'm going to take is just to put some backing paper on it, some brown packaging paper that came with an Amazon parcel. So I think you might still guess what this used to be. So I'm just going to try and do a couple of finishing touches. For example, here there's a bit of damage where I opened the tissue box. Unfortunate, but not impossible to cover up. Another thing I like to pick up from thrift stores are these old kind of fabric doilies. I would feel bad about cutting them up, but to be honest with you, nobody uses them anymore. So I feel sort of justified, like it's okay for me to just take a couple of flowers from this and stick them in strategic places to cover up the fact that I've damaged the box. So I thought about putting an extra one on, but I think I'm going to do something quite specific with the corners. So I don't want to get too close to those. In fact, I'm going to punch them out before I stick this down, so I know how much space I've got to stick it down. So that was really testing the limits of my corner punch. Going through that many layers of paper. Very, very close to breaking it, I think. Don't try this at home. No, just kidding. I think what I did when it didn't immediately go through is I gently pressed it a few more times down on the cardboard until it just gently ended up cutting through. But it did not like that, just for the record. It's too many layers. I got that tool, by the way, in a thrift store. I found a jackpot of corner punches. Somebody had obviously had a clear out. I was super lucky to find that. And I purchased most of them, not all of them. Firstly, I didn't think it was fair. I thought I should let some of the crafter have the joy of finding that. But I did purchase quite a few of them because when opportunity knocks. So there we have it, a very cute little journaling card, and I think very spring. I do think that the lace and the corner punches do add that finishing touch, but you can just look at your own stash and decide what finishing touches you could add based on the tools and the media that you have in your collection. So that's that done. Okay, let's have a look at this now. I don't think that this process has to be too much different, except that I'm going to do some tearing because this is already torn. So this makes no sense with the music paper, apart from I guess bees make a little humming sound, but I am going to stamp a bee on here and put another little lace flower on the corner, just for a bit of variation. Don't want to do the same stamp on every single piece that I make, otherwise it gets a little bit samey. So there's a bit of honeycomb there, and there's the bee, and now I'm going to put the little flower here just to cover up. Can you see this little logo left over there? So because the bee came out with more black ink than I wanted, I'm just going to spatter a bit of yellow paint across it to give a sort of indication of the colouring. Just a little suggestion. I'm going to let that dry whilst I make my last piece, which is going to be a tag. So this doesn't have to be any more complicated than the other pieces, and in fact it makes sense to make them a matching set because I might want to put them in a journal together. So what I'm going to do is look for a piece of music paper that will pretty much fill the whole length of this white channel on the card. That should pretty much do it. Just going to ink around and glue it down. Isn't it amazing how the second you cut the corners off, it already looks like a tag, even though you've barely done anything to it yet? Okay, I think for this one, I'm just going to use some of these lovely flowers to dot around it. I'm not going to get into ink stamps with it. I started using this lovely material, so I'll continue using it. It's looking so cute now. All that remains is to top it and ink it. That has turned out just beautifully. It's such a cute little tag, and that was just out of the end of tissue box. So nothing more extravagant than that, and even the ends were able to be used to make a beautiful piece of ephemera for a junk journal. So let's see what we've got made today. Got this beautiful tag. Got this lovely journaling card. Very busy bee on there. And we've got this lovely journaling card with the bird motif and the music paper backing. I'm particularly fond of these edges, even though they were quite strenuous to cut. I hope this gives you some ideas about the cardboard that's coming into your life and how you could use it. Even the bits at the end that seem scrappy and like they've only got a little bit of pattern on them can be repurposed with the reclaimed materials you have in your stash. I think all of these, yes, absolutely all of these pieces, all three of them, are all reclaimed materials. The music paper was going to waste in a charity shop. The lace was from a thrift store, and the tissue box, obviously we know, was going to go in the recycling. The lace was also actually this lace. I think this lace might be the only thing that I bought from a small business. But other than that, we're doing pretty well on the reclaimed materials front. So I really hope you enjoyed watching me make these pieces. I'm just so excited to add them into a journal. A beautiful spring journal, I'm feeling. And I hope it's been inspiring for you. I'll look forward to seeing you next time.